Today is August 28th, 2017. This is the Investitude podcast. John, I got a list of stuff we can talk about. Okay.
How long is the list?
Okay. Well, a lot's happened since the last time we talked. You are in the office today. We forgot to bring up what jet you would. How would you get around if you won the lotto on a jet?
Oh, yeah.
Wait,
yeah, we did. We
hold
forgot.
On a second. That's number one. Number two is the ANTIFA, as Trump says.
The anti-fascists.
Yeah, or as Trump says, ANTIFA.
ANTIFA! Dun, da, 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 dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Da, dun,
Oh, I didn't even think of that one.
ANTIFA!
You know, that's funny now that you mentioned it. We could talk about Houston. Now there's looters, so that'll be interesting.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, and then
plague on them, by the way.
Yeah.
The looters, that is.
I know.
Houston's already been hit by a plague.
I know. And then, of course, we could talk about Taylor Swift's tsunami, her hurricane that hit over the weekend. Then, of course, the old Taylor Swift, Gene Simmons. Because I know you went to the Gene Simmons, so pick one of those. Or Apple.
Let's start with the jet, just real quick, because we can tie up last week's discussion. So we were talking, folks, about, okay, if you won the lottery, what would you do? A lot of folks have said, well, if I won, $500 million tax, after taxes, or 371 mil after taxes, or whatever the heck. What would I do? I'd buy a jet. No, you shouldn't do that. If you were our client, we'd tell you not to. And here's why. Unless you have a ton of passive income, from the likes of, Spielberg, passive income. He gets paid for movies for years because they go on Hulu, they go on Netflix, they get put on Redbox, so forth. In other words, ancillary sales of his movies. Okay, we all kind of get that. That's passive income because he got paid to do the movie and then he gets paid over years, passive. Okay. You can match that up against passive losses. So for somebody like him, maybe owning a jet isn't so bad. But here's the down and dirty. Let's say that you bought a $50 million jet. Well, 50 mil at 3% interest is $1.5 million a year in opportunity cost, Andrew. Just opportunity on the 50 mil. Because why? Because you could basically put it in a bond and get risk-free return of about 3%. Now, I haven't even talked about the cost of the pilots, the cost of maintenance, all of which could run another $1 million a year.
And you know this because remember we went to dinner with Fish.
Yeah.
And his pilot, the lady that grabs the pastrami sandwiches.
Yep.
Because I was like, "What do you get?" He goes, "Oh, the Fish likes pastrami." So I'm like, "Well, of course they don't have a. It's a private plane. You got to go to the deli." And then who else was on the plane? It was somebody else. Some chart guy.
Yeah.
It was a whole bunch of. He had 4 or 5 people working for him. That wasn't a cheap operation.
No, I mean easily, folks. You could be $2.5 mil a year to run a $50 million private jet because the engine's got to be serviced. You've got the cost of the fuel, everything else. So anyway, let's just figure between your opportunity cost, which I've already said is $1.5 million, and the rest of it. Let's just figure a very conservative $3.5 million. You could make 36 trips on one of the nicest private jets, a Global Challenger or, whatever, a G650, whatever you want, by renting it.
How long do you think
for the price of that?
But how long do you think it would take it to book? If I said to you right now, let's go out to Vegas, to the Trader thing.
Okay.
Let's say we forgot to book our ticket. When is that event? That's
coming up in October, yeah. I think
so say it's October
4th through the 6th.
Okay, so it's October 3rd.
Okay.
And we need to go tomorrow.
It would take us all of an hour to book it.
Really?
Yep, an hour. And then they'd say who's going to be on the plane because they need to know the manifest.
And how much do you think it would cost to go out to Vegas?
Rough terms, $35,000.
Okay.
So, do the math, folks. Again, $35,000. I'm going to do it here. $35,000.
No, we're not doing this though.
I'm going to
It'd
do
be nice,
no,
though.
But I'm going to say okay, $3 million a year divided by 35,000. What we say a one-way leg would be for something like this. You could make 85 trips a year
That's a lot.
Well, it's more than one a week.
That's a lot of McGregor. That's a lot of McGregor
let's
fights.
Let's say that you're booking an even bigger jet. And, I mean, the numbers are just stupid. It doesn't make any sense. If you can't match up the passive losses that you take from running a jet against some sort of passive gains, it makes no sense.
So if you're out there and you're thinking of winning the lottery, or
if you're planning on winning the lottery, folks,
you've just gotten great information.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on here.
Houston,
Bats,
looters, sharks. Airport flooded.
I think there's crocodiles. And
they were running, folks, and some friend of mine retweeted it, so I retweeted it. Picture of the airport flooded with a bunch of planes underwater. Huh? That was fake. Within a minute, I saw that it was fake and posted from a friend of mine who shot, not to me, but shot up, hey, there's a lot of fake pictures going around out there. Houston's not underwater. Here's a picture from the airport, a live cam.
God, everybody's in on the fake now.
Yeah, they were all putting up pictures of sharks going down the streets.
Oh, speaking of fake,
like
while you were gone, that fake statue down by Trump?
Yep.
Somebody lit that on fire. Somebody stuck a rag in the A and torched it in the middle of the day. So anyway,
jeez.
Our statue here in Chicago in front of the Trump Tower says, what does it say? Real fake.
Real fake.
Yeah, it's our city government put that out there as kind of art for the summer, and it just happens to be in front of Trump. So a lot of people
just happens. Yeah.
Okay, Taylor Swift. We can't really say too much about her other than she just exploded. I mean, I think she got 11 million views in 6 hours. I think it was up to 31 on her video, and she came out with something to the VMAs last night. Sick.
Yeah, I mean, the lady can just do it, and if you're
God, I wish that was a stock.
Katy Perry or anybody else, good luck competing. By the way,
I saw her
Lady Gaga played at Wrigley this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Was fantastic, I hear.
Really?
Fantastic. Heard that from a few friends who were up there with Mr. Ricketts, the owner of the Cubs.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. Good
Since
for you.
it was at his facility.
Meanwhile, you go floating over to Gene
I don't need to
Simmons.
hang with Ricketts. I was hanging with Gene Simmons.
So what'd you do? You met him up at CNBC. So
Gene's
you're like friends now. You're going to become a member of KISS.
I got to put out that picture again. I'll do it tomorrow, Andrew. I'll send you that. There, I have a picture of Pete and I backstage with Gene Simmons, and
this is at CNBC.
At CNBC, and had a great conversation with the man. He's into
smart.
everything. Yeah, he's very smart.
Very Akamai.
Yeah, this is not one of those, rock and rollers that burned his brain out with drugs and so forth. He is a brilliant dude. But anyway, his drummer, a guy named Brent Fitz. I imagine his full name's Fitzgerald, but he goes by Brent Fitz. Great guy. And Brent said, hey, John, you want to come? We got 4 tickets for you. Gene and I have 4 tickets for you. Got off the plane from New Orleans. Was delayed, but I got off the plane. I was home by about 8:30. I live right up the street.
I know. I rode my bike past Park West, and I'm like, oh, cool, he's coming to town. I didn't know it was that night.
It was so great.
Because normally
he was bringing people up on stage. Men and women.
Go to your Twitter feed and you'll see it.
Check out my Twitter feed and you'll see it.
Sausage fest.
That's what he called it. Sausage fest.
Get off the stage.
Too many guys. He said, okay, I got to pick some girls. You, blonde, ponytail, get up here.
That's what did they say? That's ripe or choice coming from a guy that dressed up in makeup.
He was so good, though, and it was just so wonderful because he interacted with his fans right there. I mean, it wasn't a KISS concert at which, they draw 15,000, 20,000 people to those things. You can't let people up on stage at those. They've got a...
Park West is nice to see a concert.
Oh, it's wonderful. And I met his security team. They were good guys. They weren't roughing people up or anything. Gene would invite people up on stage. They'd come up, sing with them for a song, and he'd say, okay, now get the hell off. And they'd all, nicely leave the stage.
Sing a lick. He doesn't even need the money, though, right?
Heck no.
He made it all on those KISS lunch boxes. The KISS pinball machine.
Everything. Pinball, video games, comic books. He's got...
KISS everything.
restaurant and bar.
He's even got an army, the Kiss Army.
Remember the Kiss
Army back in the day? That was kind of creepy.
There's a song
they lost me, Kiss Army back.
You got to see this one, Andrew. Detroit Rock City. Detroit Rock City, folks, is a movie about kids that wanted to go to a Kiss concert.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
Yep, it was.
Which they have that song, Detroit Rock City.
Exactly.
Did he play that?
Not sure if Gene did or not.
Right.
Sorry, Gene. He was nice enough to retweet me this morning.
Yeah, I know.
When we put out the video. So
wonder what he's doing.
If you're listening to this, Gene, we loved the show. It's fantastic. You did a great job.
Okay. Now, moving on, since people, mostly our listeners, tune in so that they can hear about stock advice.
All right, stock advice.
Stock
Apple
advice.
Confirmed it's got a September 12th event. That event, they're going to announce the iPhone 8. I will bet you money, folks, bet you money that it is going to be for sale a few days before the end of September. Why? Because that way it's such a short window, such a small window of time, that you can't fully figure how many they've sold going into the, obviously, fourth quarter, the biggest time. And they do that every time, by the way. They always release the phone like September 28th. They'll do the event the 12th. First people that get them will start getting them like the last days of September. I guarantee. But watch that one today. Watch now
we
Apple.
saw I bought the stock, as you know.
Some unusual activity. 165 strike, right?
Yeah, I'm holding it because I don't want to be in the right church, wrong pew.
Yeah.
With this thing. So I'm just holding the stock. Plus, it pays a nice dividend. So, but we saw activity like in the
165s and 170s.
Yeah, they were
maybe all the way up to the 175s.
I think it goes to 200. That's just me.
Well, it could. Here's a couple others that are on the heat seeker. LB, which is limited brands, LB. So take a look at LB, folks, for upside call activities. LB is L Brands. It's down today. Somebody's flying in there buying upside calls at the September 32. I'm sorry,
the puts.
Yeah.
Bad.
Buying the 3250
Bad
puts.
LB.
Maybe just cheap insurance, but maybe something else.
Yeah, it's Monday's a kind of a slow day, especially today. One other thing before we go.
All right. By the way, Ford October 11 calls. I'll leave you with that too. Since I screwed up the LB. Ford October 11 calls, 25,000 bought for 24 cents.
So it's a new
double the open interest.
So it's a new day.
Yes.
When I leave here, I'm going to go do some stuff with my kid. But I'm going to go to Whole Foods. I'm going to do a channel check.
Oh.
Because they're sliding into Amazon today. It's the big deal.
That's right. And they're discounting huge, apparently. I've heard that they're taking Whole Foods prices down by, in some cases, 40%. They're saying, look, some of the stuff, there's a reason we're only this size with this great brand, and that is we overcharged when we were Whole Foods. We're taking the price down now that we're Amazon Whole Foods.
We'll see. We'll get back to you on another podcast with that.
Yep. Well, folks, remember, as always, Google Play, iTunes, YouTube, 3 different ways. There might be 20 others. Those are 3 of the best, though, ways to make sure you don't miss a podcast. You can subscribe, get the podcast, make sure that you tell a friend, and leave us a message if you have time. Thanks.